As soon as you wake up in the morning, there is a voice that starts talking to you in your head. And this voice starts talking about all the things you have to do today and all the things you forgot to do yesterday. And what you'll notice about this voice is that it never shuts up. It's always talking all throughout your day. It's always making comments on this and on that. And it's really the root of the majority of anxiety, fear, worry, and doubt that you experience throughout the day. And it never really shuts up until you go to sleep. But even then, it doesn't even let you sleep sometimes because it keeps you up all night. And there's just tons of anxiety and worry that it produces. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome the voice in the head. And the voice in the head is something that we all experience, we all deal with, and it is the number one hindrance to our inner peace. Because the voice in the head is always talking about things in the past or the future. It's never just focused in the present moment, in the now. And in the now is where we find our peace. It's where we find who we really are and we can live from our heart space, as I talked about in my last video. And so the first thing about the voice in the head is that we have to acknowledge that there even is a voice in the head. Because for many people, they're unaware of the voice, or the voice kind of merges with who they think they are. And so they think that this voice is their voice. And they allow the voice to control and dictate everything they do. And they end up saying things they don't want to say, and thinking things they don't want to think, and doing things they don't want to do because they are completely controlled by this voice in their head. And so the first thing we have to do is acknowledge it. We have to become aware of it. Now, once we become aware of it, the second thing is we have to recognize that there's an awareness behind the voice. Okay, so there's the voice in the head that we can observe, we can experience, we can talk about it, we can tell other people about it. Why? Because there's an awareness of it. So there's the voice and then there's the awareness. So the question is, what is this awareness? The answer is, it is you. You are the awareness of the voice. And this is the liberating revelation or realization. It's that the awareness, you are the awareness. You are not the voice in your head. This voice is not your voice. You are what's aware of this voice. And once you get that, once you understand that, then you come to a place where you say, okay, this voice isn't my voice, and I am what's aware of this voice. Therefore, I can decide whether or not I'm going to listen to this voice and follow it. And it doesn't have to control everything I do because it's not me. It's just a voice, just like any other voice that I hear all throughout the day. And when I hear all these other voices, I can decide whether or not I'm going to trust the voice, listen to the voice, follow the voice, whatever. Okay. And so that's the beauty of it. You are not the voice in your head. You are what's aware of the voice in your head. And so I gave an analogy one time in my meditation video, and I think in another video, about imagine you're sitting on a riverbank and you're watching boats pass down a river. Now, the boats represent your thoughts. And all you're doing is you're not trying to control your thoughts. You're not trying to stop thinking. You're just watching your thoughts pass by because that's what they do. They come, they stay for a little bit, and then they go. And that's every single thought that passes through your head. So in the analogy, you're sitting on a riverbank and you're watching these boats that represent your thoughts or the voice in your head pass by. And you are not your thoughts. You are what's aware of your thoughts. But then all of a sudden, one of these boats pulls to the riverbank and offers to take you on board. And as the awareness, you have the option to either step on the boat or to remain on the riverbank. And if you get on the boat, what happens is you are giving that boat control of you. The boat can go wherever it wants and you can't control it. But if you stay on the riverbank and you say, no thanks, I'm good here, I'm just watching boats pass by, then what happens is the boat says okay, and the boat goes on its way. And that keeps happening. And what you'll notice is the more you sit there as the witness of your thoughts and you don't allow your thoughts to control you, they start to decrease and decrease and decrease until there's nothing but the river there. And there's no thinking going on. There's no thoughts trying to distract you or trying to control you. And there's just you there sitting in that stillness, in the presence and the eternal now. And this is where the magic happens. And so in meditation, what happens a lot of times is people start to meditate. And as soon as they start to meditate, the voice in the head starts to increase and becomes active. And you've got all these different thoughts that you're trying to deal with and control, and you're trying to stop thinking, and you're trying to meditate. But the more you try to meditate, it just gets worse and worse. And so this ends up really distracting people, and it becomes a real hindrance to the meditation. And what I've learned is that when I start to meditate and I start to experience the voice in the head increase, which it does, every time you try to get silent on the inside, what happens? The thoughts ramp up. Try to go to bed at night, and you can't go to bed because you've got all these thoughts, and the voice in your head is talking. That's just what happens, right? And so I've learned that when I'm in meditation, and this voice is just doing its thing, instead of trying to stop the voice or instead of trying to control the voice, what I do is I just sit there. I sit on the riverbank as the witness, as the awareness, and I just allow the thoughts to do their thing. I let them just do whatever. I let the voice say whatever it wants to say. And eventually, as I sit there as the witness, the voice begins to become quiet. It silences itself, and then it just kind of fades away to nothingness. And before long, I'm sitting there in perfect peace and perfect presence. And that's the key. The key is to just sit there and to just allow the boats pass by. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes. So acknowledge that there is a voice. That's number one. Recognize the awareness behind the voice. That's number two. And then realize that you are not the voice in your head. The voice in your head is not your voice. You are the awareness that's behind the voice. The voice appears in thought form, and these thoughts come and they go, and they're passing, but you are what's aware, and you've always been aware. This is pure consciousness. This is who you really are. This is that I amness, that eternal now state. This is where we experience this when we enter in through the heart space, and I talked about that in my last video. So acknowledge it. Recognize the awareness, realize that you are that awareness, and just sit back and watch the voice say whatever it wants to say. Okay, imagine you're looking at a screen, or you're on your phone and you're FaceTiming someone, and you can even do this. You can personify this voice. You can give it a name. You can give it a face. Doesn't matter. And imagine you're looking at this person talking on the screen. And you're just sitting there and you're just watching them talk. You're not trying to control this person talking. You're not trying to stop the person from talking. You're just watching them talk. And you recognize that, okay, this voice on this screen coming from this person talking is not me. It's a voice just like any other voice. And as I just sit there and watch it, it fades away. It goes away. And then there's just the sacred stillness of the present moment. And this is the beginning of miracles. This is when the magic happens. This is when the meditation is transformed into a new level. And this is when you start to really experience who you really are. And the reason I'm making this video is because this has been a common problem for people, is the voice in the head. And that's the question I keep getting. How do I overcome this voice? What do I do during my meditation when this voice starts to arise? Is there something that I have to do to combat it? Is there something that I have to do during my meditation to get rid of it? And the answer is no. The answer is you just sit there and you acknowledge it. You recognize the awareness. You realize you are that awareness, and you just let it do its thing. You let go of trying to control it, and before you know it, the voice disappears. And this is when things start to happen in your meditation. This is when you begin to experience that peace that surpasses all understanding. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, informative, or insightful, leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.